All right. I almost hit end broadcast when I thought it was a transition button.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Crossing the Streams, everybody. This is the show that answers the universal question, what should I be watching next? I just finished watching this one thing, and now I got to watch another thing. What should that thing be? Well, you've come to the right place, because this is Crossing the Streams, and we've got 4,000 hours of expert opinions on shows and stuff. And then we have over 80 hours streaming on YouTube right now. You might be watching on YouTube going, what? Yeah, you're in the middle of a live show, but there's 83 other hours for you to enjoy. This is episode 84, believe it or not, episode 84. We got Tony B back, and we got an original kind of almost OG. He came in late, and then he was here forever, and then he left because he had 50 other shows to do, and it's just who can blame the guy? All right, welcome. All right, well, let's do the theme song. I'm gonna let Zach kick us off, and then we'll go with Tony. All right, Zach.
Well, here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV, and all of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
Tony.
They made a live show about their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff runs Sal Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
All right, Sal.
I'm saying so long. And then one day, he's live on all the platforms. You can hear them people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams.
We cross the streams.
We cross the streams.
We cross the
streams.
That's the way.
It's the way we do it here.
Cross
the streams.
All right. So, funny thing. So, Sal and Bob do a live show every month in Northville, Michigan. I happened by coincidence to be in Northville, Michigan the other day.
That's right.
I walk by, I go, oh, look, there's their poster on the window. So I send them a picture, not realizing the show was going on at that moment.
It was funny. Texted me right after I got it.
What a friend.
Yeah.
What a friend right there.
Well, I wasn't, I didn't have a ticket, so I didn't want to crash. I didn't want to crash.
Can't afford those things.
No. They were sold out. They're always sold out.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Hey, Jerry misses your voice, Sal.
Hey, what's going on, Jerry?
So we got Zach back, and we got Tony back. Zach, remind everyone about your cool shows and all that.
A lot of cool shows. Yeah, so I'm part of Some Nobodies. We do a bunch of weird audio fake dramas like Silicon Angels, which is the IT department of a sex robot shop. We have a Create Your Own Podventure, which is like you listen to episode 1 and then you choose which episode to listen to after that, depending on how you think this technology is going to help you out. We have a couple improv weird shows called PowerPoint Showdown, one of which Jeff was on. Great little improv show where we just make people do TED Talk style presentations based on slides they haven't seen. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you just open up your old Tamagotchi and type in Some Nobodies, you'll see all my stuff that I do.
It's all good. Tony B, what about you, man?
So I got the Berardo podcast. You could find that available everywhere. We talk about health, wellness, social interaction. I interview experts from various fields all over the country. And I also started a company with the wife called Meet Cute Box. It's a date night subscription box where we send a themed date night to your house every single month. It's a surprise. And we also have a podcast where the wife and I talk about relationship advice, dating ideas, and argue occasionally. So it's a lot of fun.
All right. I like how I call her the wife. Like the
wife. She is mine. I have her.
He's down to one now. So
yeah, she's gonna slap me because she probably heard that. So.
All right. So before we get into some of the other stuff, let's go over the drinking rules. Brought to us by Being Carmen and Jerry. So if we drink on the show, you drink. If there's a technical issue, drink. If we have to be asked what show a platform is on, drink. If Zach's on, drink. If they put your name up there, drink. If Zach's wearing a hat, drink. If you forget an actor's name, drink. If Sal talks about a rom-com, drink. All right. And then with just a quick second, just remember the everything going on in Ukraine. Just to kind of keep that in the back of our heads. All right. So recap. I watched the Elvis movie.
Nice.
That Sal reviewed. I thought it was great. I didn't love Tom Hanks. I thought Tom Hanks was completely not the right person for that role. I feel like it was one of those, this is going to be my Oscar nominated role. And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't buy that. The accent just never sounded right coming out of him. And I don't know. I
couldn't agree more with you, Jeff. I think that part of Colonel Tom Parker in that role should have been an unknown actor that could have maybe portrayed him as real as somebody. Tom Hanks, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that was Colonel Tom Parker, but it wasn't one of his best performances. I'll say that, but who knows? He'll probably be nominated for an Oscar or something.
Yeah. Whoever's got their email open, turn it off. I'm guessing it's Sal. They had no dinging.
Email opens? I don't think so.
Somebody was dinging.
It was weird because every time he's on screen, you're just like, what are you doing, Tom Hanks? Like you're not able to get into the story because the whole time you're like, why are you doing this? Why is Tom Hanks in this?
It'd be like if we all just Elvis was I'm gonna make some snow and
well,
I'm the snowman. You know what I mean? It's like
it's funny, when I was watching him in the movie, I thought, okay, well, maybe this is how Colonel Tom Parker spoke. You know what I mean? And then after the movie, I don't know why, probably because our phones are listening to us. I literally heard or got fed a YouTube video of the real Colonel Tom Parker talking. And I'm like, wait a minute. Tom Hanks didn't even talk anything like him. I'm not kidding you. You guys got to watch it.
It wasn't even like an accurate.
No, it's not.
It's
not. It's not. It's like
they thought just making him look kind of big and elongated was like enough to.
I don't know, but I agree. The rest of the movie was great, though.
Tom Hanks is the greatest, but
he's great, phenomenal.
But he's just not an asshole. He's not a conniving asshole, and so he can't play. At least,
yeah.
But other than that, I thought Baz Luhrmann. I love his style of movies, and Moulin Rouge I love, and there were times where I forgot I had to remind myself I wasn't watching footage of Elvis, and it was like really good. I mean, I don't think he was actually singing, but my God, they made that footage look so amazing. It's long, but it's really good.
I think he did sing it. No.
I thought I looked on the soundtrack and I thought it said it was Elvis, but
okay, maybe it was.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
It looks incredible though. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so based off these 3 reviews, I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, Tom Hanks doesn't ruin it. There's enough of the movie that he's not in, but he's a little bit of a thread through it. Because this guy, it's sad how much this guy really destroyed Elvis.
Yeah, he really did.
And Tom Hanks, I mean, I don't mean the real guy. But I keep wanting to talk about Ozark, but I want to wait for Ron because he originally reviewed it. How about that new Cobra Kai review preview? Did you guys see that?
I didn't see that.
Can't fucking wait.
Oh my God!
Wasn't either. It's gonna be great.
What are you talking about?
Season 5.
Season 5 Cobra Kai preview.
Oh, Cobra Kai. Yeah.
I rewatched Karate Kid 3 because I hadn't really seen it in like 20 years or whatever, and I felt like I was missing something because that's where Terry Silver is introduced. Cobra Kai, I think, does a little good of retroconning Karate Kid 3 in the sense that he was such a cartoon in Karate Kid 3, like over the top. And like when you rewatch Karate Kid 3, and I can't remember who put it in my head, but it's so true. It's just these adults trying to destroy children. It's so pathetic.
Yeah.
and Danny LaRusso, I gotta say, he's so whiny. Like when that new guy comes in, you just want him to punch him in the face.
Yeah, he's a punk. He is a punk.
So
It's a great show, man. There's
I
not
can't
show
wait.
that can do that. You look at who tried it, right? Like Fuller House, some other fucking shows that just try to come back, whether it's a sequel or a remake. I mean, they just did an unbelievable job of taking characters that really had no relevance. I mean, aside from the 80s, it's not like they continuously lived on like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Like it's not like we're waking up thinking of Karate Kid, and then they just reintroduce these characters and just build this whole universe. It's pretty impressive, especially to go 5+ seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the few shows that like understood what the lore behind their show and the fans. Like there was that big, surge of like, hey, maybe Daniel wasn't the good guy in these movies. And once that kind of came back up, they really fully embraced that and then wrote a story around that. And I think that's why it's so successful, because they really understood what the fans were saying and not just doing what Fuller House was,
right?
Which is just put them all back together. We like that.
Yeah, exactly.
What are these characters doing? They're people.
The cheesiness, I love it, right? Like you know what it is. Like the first season came out, and 50% of people was like, "This is the cheesiest, stupidest show." every single one of those people were like in their 20s. But if you're like about 30, the Cobra Kai is like, it just makes sense. It fits. It's just fantastic to see these characters. It's cool, man. I love that show.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Very cool. I agree. You need the nostalgia of it. So, hey, speaking of nostalgia, let's do at least 5, the top 5 Netflix metrics.
Netflix metrics. Okay, so what I was trying to do with this, and if you don't know this, Netflix a couple of months ago put out this weird thing where they just did top 10 in the US, and I didn't understand why they did that. That was a stupid thing to do, so I decided to follow it. Now, recently they changed it up and they split it up into like top 10 TV shows, top 10 movies. So I can't do all of this. So I'm just going to do the top 5 of the series, the shows on Netflix that are the top in the US today. So here's what I got to watch today that the U.S. loves. Number 5, we got this thing called Virgin Rivers, and season 4 of this. Now, this stars Martin Henderson, Tim Matheson, and Alexandra Breckenridge. It is a good show if you have never seen Northern Exposure. If you know what Northern Exposure is, then you've seen this show. It is just the CW version of this. Pretty much, it's about seeking a fresh start. A nurse practitioner moves from Los Angeles to a remote Northern California town and is surprised by what and who she finds. It is boring and annoying. Please skip it. I don't know why there's 4 seasons. It's based on a book. The book is way better. These follow some characters that you just do not need to follow, and you just don't like them. So move on. There's better stuff. Number 4. Excuse me. We have Lock and Key, season 3, the final season of Lock and Key. I love this show. It's based on a graphic novel written by Joe Hill. And if you don't know who Joe Hill, it's Stephen King's son. And he created this cool universe where there's this kind of magical house where there's keys in it. And these keys just do random things. Like some keys you can put inside of your head to get into your own memories. Some keys you can put into any locked door, and it takes you anywhere that you want to go in the world. So the whole thing is based around this dad who passed away. And there are 3 kids go back to Key House, and then they find all these magical keys that just do a bunch of weird stuff. Very cool show. Season 1, very good. Season 2, okay. 3, it's fine, but it's over now, so there's no more. So check it out. I suggest it, especially season 1. Very, very cool show. Number 3, this new documentary just kind of popped up a couple days ago called I Just Killed My Dad. The 3rd episode just came out, and it's pretty much it's about these experts ask the profound questions surrounding Anthony Template's murder of his own father, sending cascading ripples through the community as families attempt to question their own issues. Now, the thing is that the son is very clear. I shot my dad. I shot him. I had 2 guns. I killed my dad. But that's not the story. The story is why he killed him. He was, this young kid, Anthony, was taken from his mom at a very early age. He wasn't really taught. He didn't go to school. He had no outside life. His dad just became more, of an alcoholic and a real POS. And then one day his son just got fed up with it. So he shot him. And then the whole thing is based around the trial of maybe getting this kid off because he was tormented by his own father. It actually was really, really cool. And I have a problem with Netflix documentaries. I feel they're usually a little too drawn out. This being 3 episodes, gets to the point pretty quickly, and it's really interesting. Now, number 2 is a show called Never Have I Ever. It's season 3. Pretty interesting show. I'm not really the demographic for it, but I'm a fan of all shows, so I watched it. Now, this is about after a traumatic year, a first-generation Indian-American teenager wants to improve her status at school, but friends, family, and feelings don't make it easy. So the whole point of this is that it's about a coming-of-age tale about an Indian-American young lady. Now, her name is Devi. Really cool, quirky girl. But the thing I liked about it is it's introducing people to a new culture. You know, like I know what it's like for most Americans to grow up. I know what their families like. I know what their dinner's like. I don't know what a lot of Indian Americans, how their family dynamic works. Kind of the same thing as Miss Marvel, like where you're pushed into a culture that you had no idea about. You're like, wow, this is just beautiful. I love the fact that these people are just love each other. They love their faith. They love, you know, what they're doing. But once again, it's a rom-com. You know, it's like a YA novel, but good.
Okay.
But the reason I wanted to come on this show, when Jeff asked me, do you have something to talk about? I said, yes. The Sandman. Now, The Sandman is based on a beautiful graphic novel by Neil Gaiman that came out years and years ago.
Wait, is this your number one?
This is my number one.
Okay, well, hold it. We'll hold it for your
Oh.
segment then.
Make a segment now.
Wait, what?
What a fucking tease.
What about
That up like a motherfucker. And
all right, so come back to me for wait, am I doing it now or no?
No, let's do it. No, we'll tease. I'm gonna
Okay,
go
all
this out. We're gonna come back to you.
Okay.
We're gonna do the full Sandman. You can say it's number
bring
one,
it
and we're gonna
back
tease later.
around to me for the
Yeah,
Sandman.
we're coming right back. Coming right
Love it.
back, dude.
love it.
I've been thinking about that one. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
good.
Netflix has some garbage on there most of the time. Today happens to be some pretty good stuff. I really suggest that documentary. It is really well put together. And the lawyer that takes the case does it pro bono because it's like, you know, I was abused as a child. I want to see this kid get off. And it's really interesting because this kid has no education whatsoever. Like he can barely read and write. And he's just this kid that got beat up his whole life. So yeah, I definitely suggest that thing. It's Why I Killed My Dad.
Okay.
I love Never Have I Ever. I haven't seen the new season yet, but 1 and 2. It's Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling created it. Yeah, very, very cool show. I like it. John McEnroe is the one who does like the voiceover narration. And,
Brilliant.
you know, obviously,
Brilliant.
yeah, he's got that cool attitude. Really clever show. Like I said, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I got a lot out of it. I like that. I like the show.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. Really, really enjoyable. All right, let's. Oh, you know what? I forgot. All right. So last week on the show, we talked about Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Wow, Bob must have been on.
Yeah. Howard did a scene from A Fish Called Wanda. We talked about Truth, Ninjas 3 Domination, and Not Okay. Today we got a great show for you, as teased by Zack. We're talking about The Sandman, Untold, the greatest, The Girlfriend That Never Existed, Prey, and Drop Dead Gorgeous. Oh gosh, that's gonna be good. I love that movie. All right, let's start with Untold, the girlfriend who didn't exist. This is a brand new documentary on Netflix, but an oldie but goodie story.
Yes, it is. It is. So, and this is another Untold, which I've been doing all of them, and I heard they've got, I think, 3 more after this one coming out. So basically Untold are just all documentaries. So anyway, this one, like Jeff just said, everybody knows this story, or a lot of people do. You might have lived through it. It was exactly 10 years ago now that Mateo, this great college football player, was pretty much, I guess, the first national person that ever got catfished. That was a term that came out back then when somebody online faked who they were. And obviously, as time went on, we realize how to stop that stuff now, unless, I don't know, maybe Jeff's still getting catfished. I don't know, maybe, but most people don't get catfished anymore. But back then it was a new thing. And so anyway, let's start from the beginning. It's a 2-part documentary. And the first part basically introduces Naya Tuwasasopo. I hope I'm saying that right. But and I'm just going to get this out of the way. During the making of this or throughout the story, Naya transitioned into a transgender. They even had they had to clarify that at the beginning of the documentary because she transitioned during the making of this. So, you know, he was a he and played college football himself, and then becomes Naya later on in the documentary. And this is the person. She was the one that started the catfishing. They're both from the Hawaiian Islands, so they kind of know each other's cultures. And Naya was shy online, and so was Mateo in a kind of a way because he was so busy with football. And a friend request kind of started as a friend request, and then she was matching up with other of his friends. So it looked like she was part of almost like his community of people that he knew. And next thing you know, they're just kind of communicating with each other, and he's kind of building his career up at Notre Dame, which and again, I know Jeff talked about how we know the story so well, but this is what I like documentaries. You kind of dive into the story. I didn't know that that this all started in actually 2009 is when she started to communicate with him on Facebook. It didn't materialize till what the national news knew about it till almost 2012 or 2013. So this relationship was not something, I thought it was just something like 6-7 months. This was actually like a 4-year kind of texting relationship online. I know it kind of sounds weird. Like, how did he go this long without ever meeting her? It's just unbelievable. They kind of go over that a little bit in the documentary. They said one time they tried to Zoom, like a Zoom thing, and her connection wasn't good. It never was good. And it's like, wouldn't that have sent something to him like that said, that's kind of weird. We can't even see each other like on a FaceTime or something, which I think was available then. So anyway, that's kind of weird, but they always had a talking relationship. They would talk on the phone, and it was just crazy. And then she felt guilty sometimes about leading him on, but then sometimes what the documentary, they make her look kind of horrible in this. Like, she's just so selfish, and but that's kind of the parents are involved because the parents kind of know about it. Then what happens is it culminates where his whole college football career, now all of a sudden he's a senior, he's playing in the national championship game. This relationship is still going on online, but now it's getting to a point where she's like sick and she's got cancer or leukemia and she's going to die. And then his grandmother really does die at the same time. And literally they show footage of the national championship game. He's just a Cinderella story because he's in the national championship game. His girlfriend died. His grandmother died. It's such a big story. And that's kind of how the first episode ends, which is kind of cool, kind of gives you that whole story. And then in the second part of the documentary, they talk about the Deadspin guys that just covered this up and knew that it was a hoax and kind of revealed it. And then all of a sudden, he's just the laughing stock of the United States at that point. And what was really interesting, he's interviewed a lot throughout this, and he's just seems like a great human being right now. He just seems like he's in a great place. I kind of Googled it. He's married now with a kid. I think he has a kid. But just the way he talks about it throughout the documentary is excellent. He really reveals himself on why he did this and how he was kind of led on so easily, and he kind of explains it. But there was a moment where he says, literally in one day, I went from, hey, look, there's Mateo, like they were just excited to see him. And then the very next day, he was like this. He's like, yeah, look, there's Mateo. Like, he just went for it was, and he said it was a very, very hard thing to get over. It affected him mentally. And I think he's still going through, some stuff about it. But that's basically the story. And it just gets revealed at the end, and the country's it's just this hoax and catfishing, because he's kind of like the face of catfishing now, and it's just the craziest story ever. And I guess at the end she dies, and that's how it kind of got exposed. But and he was, yeah, it's just a sad story at the end. But they're both doing well, and I don't think they've talked, but they've apologized and all that. But it's an interesting documentary. I highly recommend it. It's a 2-part series, an easy watch. It's not very long. So I don't know if anybody saw it.
So I watch it because of this garbage I do with Netflix every day. And I did not know this story. I'm not a sports person at all. So when this came on, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I sat down and I consumed this thing. You're right, Sal, it is so well put together. And the way they tell the story, I mean, him being from Hawaii and being, a Latter-day Saints, and then moving into middle America where it's, Notre Dame and just straight Catholic. He was dealing with so many things, and he was looking for somebody in his community. And then this woman popped up who, And then he even asked his cousin, like, "Hey, do you know this person?" And his cousin's like, "Yeah,
right.
I know them, whatever." So
Yep.
I mean, yeah, but I felt so bad because he seems like such a great dude, and even Naya seems like a good person now.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Yep.
what he went through, and then everyone's like, "We just want to know, are you gay?" And that
Yeah.
was like everything. It was like after everything that was going on with him, all the people will know is, we just need to know, are you gay? Are you gay?
Correct.
It's like, dude, shut up. Like, this guy's been through so much. But yes, Al, I completely agree. Great documentary, very well put together, and I was absolutely riveted from that one. Yeah, good one.
Oh, okay, cool. For somebody that didn't kind of you weren't experiencing it.
I had no idea about the story. I'm like I said, I'm not a sports guy. I had no idea, and I learned so much from this. And yeah, such a cool, weird, cool story.
All right, so it works on any level, which is
Mhm.
great. And Untold usually is just one episode, so this is unique for them too. This one being 2 episodes.
Very true, Jeff.
Very true.
Very
All
true.
right, Sal, fabulous job.
All
Great
right,
job, Sal.
All right.
guys.
Well, we're gonna keep the anticipation going because we're gonna go to Prey, which is a new movie on Hulu, with our friend Tony B. Explain to everyone what this movie is before.
Yeah. So, well, let me tell you this. First off, if you don't know what this is about, that's okay. That's how good of a origin story this is. I've seen every Predator movie from the OG with Schwarzenegger to the shittiest, ridiculous remakes that is Alien vs Predator and Requiem and all that bullshit that they did. And that was just kind of a studio trying to take advantage of a name, right? Like they do with most movies. But this I thought was, if I could be so bold, I think this might be one of my favorite movies in the past 2 years, like one of my favorite, like top 5. It's overall, again, just a great origin story that doesn't waste time on an origin story, if that makes sense. Because if you don't know anything about Predator, it's this massive alien creature that usually goes to planets and has kind of a orientation, so to speak, with the rest of the Covenant. They drop off this predator to hunt and to find the most dangerous primal predator on that planet, and its job is to take down that predator. So essentially the predator is to be the top dog of that planet, and that is like your initiation into this alien. Usually, like, it's portrayed like in comics and things like that, the predator is a teenager essentially in the alien world getting dropped off, very similar to how they did in Roman times, where they would take a Roman child, leave him out alone, and if he comes back to the empire, that he's a man now and he could take over the kingdom one day. That's a kind of like, in a nutshell, what the Predator is. But when you first watch it, this one's actually a true origin story. It's placed, I think, in like 1700, where Comanches and I forget the other tribes, but this is way back in the day, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Which the only criticism I have of this movie is I feel like they spoke really good English for being Comanches. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
I don't know if you know this, but when the director pitched this, he pitched it to be completely in Comanche. So he hired people that spoke straight Comanche, and it was supposed to be that way. And Hulu said no.
I did read that, and I thought that was kind of bullshit, because I'm like, why would Hulu? Because I feel like the blowback would be even worse. Which, surprisingly, I haven't seen any blowback where people are like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense."
Yeah.
But then people are probably like, "Well, I hate reading subtitles, so I get it."
That's it. Yeah.
But I thought overall they did a very good job in keeping with the Comanche culture, if you know anything about it. And again, the whole idea of, in parallel, which it's kind of underlining in the movie, which I think is pretty genius without mentioning it, is they're kind of like the Predator and the Comanche warrior, which is played by Amber Mindhunter, who she's been in Legion and stuff like that. But they're kind of parallel characters in the sense of, like, they're trying to prove themselves, which is interesting. But they never mention it in the story because she is like the only woman in the tribe that is a really good tracker, but no one takes her seriously. No one wants to bring her along on these hunts. So she's kind of, in her own way, trying to prove herself. And then long story short, spoiler alert, she ends up going head to head with the Predator, and some wicked stuff happens along the way. So overall, I thought that character buildup was great, but I really appreciated how they didn't mention Predator's origin story. It starts off kind of the Predator gets dropped on this planet. You see him a lot of the invisibility cloak, pretty much the entire movie. And then there's this massive reveal where you think he's going to be like this animatronic, weird looking, like you've seen in the other Predator movies in the past decade, where it's very cheesy looking. But no, this is like, he looks like a teenage Predator. Like he's fit. He knows how to track. He's almost kind of like a Comanche in the Predator world. It's just very well done in terms of that, because you appreciate that origin story, but also that he's there to hunt. He's taken down animals left and right, but they don't mention it. You understand? They don't talk about that. But if you don't know anything about Predator, you get it though from the storytelling. And my wife has never seen a Predator movie or an Alien movie, which we're working her up to that. She's got to watch Godfather and Goodfellas and stuff first. That's top priority. But she hasn't seen Predator at all, and she walked out of this movie like, that's a really great movie. Like, she had no other thoughts except for, I enjoyed that. I love the character build up. There was sadness, there was intrigue, there was curiosity, really good action scenes. I think there could have been a little bit more, but that's the great thing I think about an origin story is you get the build up a little bit with some great action, and then I think they already greenlit a sequel. And I'm sure there's going to be, out of 90 minutes, there's going to be 60 minutes of action scenes in the sequel. So overall, I mean, I think it was great. I think it got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which they're usually wrong on a lot about stuff, but I think they're pretty on point. And it's got 88% on Google reviews. So overall, just great movie. I mean, highly recommend. If you got Hulu, I definitely would watch it for sure.
Okay.
Now, if you're on Hulu, you can switch the language to be in Comanche, and that was the very first time I've ever seen this. So I actually watched Prey twice, because I watched it the first time as is, and halfway through, I don't know how I got to this, but I'm like, oh, you can put it on Comanche. So when I watched it the second time in Comanche, I will say it's a better movie, because it has like a cooler, like foreign vibe to it. So like you don't know the Comanches, and you also don't know the Predators. And I think that was very, very clever that they did that. And I agree with you. If you do know the original Predator, it does a really interesting thing. When you saw the original Predator, it's like, wait, what are these gorilla people doing like in the woods? Why are they skinning people? And then the alien, where this is the same thing, where like you get this thing. It's like, oh, there's these French people that are just doing some dumb shit here. And you're like, okay, cool. Now I get it. And then it's like the Predator, and he is primal, and like the bones. And for the first time, I realized like the sound design of this movie is so beautiful. Like the sound that like when that hatchet hits like any piece of wood or anything, I've never been so like enthralled by the sound of a movie. But I will say, if you've seen this movie, try watching it again in Comanche and see if you like it a little better, because I thought it was very, very cool.
That's interesting. I didn't even know they did that. That's incredible. And I just on the point of language barriers and stuff, the French tribe, again, I thought that was really interesting how they did, because they were having conversations for 2 minutes and there was no subtitles, but you understood through context and storytelling and their mannerisms what it was. And it was, again, it was there's the little details, like you said, with the sound and stuff, like the hatchet, like, like if you watch this thing on a surround sound, ooh, it's very well done.
If you watch the very, very end, like during the credits, there's like this cave painting, and it shows the aliens coming back in. So it's like, all right, they're definitely setting this up for a sequel. So I'm super excited. I thought it was really, really cool and well-paced movie.
And by the way, let's end it with this. It was on Hulu, and it wasn't in the theaters at all. And this was a great fucking movie. Yeah. Like, that's Hulu, okay? This is not HBO Max. I get it. But, I mean, Hulu, they came strong. They come strong with a lot of stuff. But original content, that's a movie. It's very rare. And I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. So.
And there are, I mean, you could tell where the budget lacks a little bit. Like some of the animals, the CGI, it's like, oh, that looks a little cartoony. But overall, beautiful story. Well done. Yeah.
Like the bear was the only cringing part in that.
Yeah, that was a little tough to watch. But yeah, I mean, like everything else was. But dude, when she broke that predator's tooth off, oof.
Dude. All right. Well, it sounds like it was awesome. It sounds like when it comes out on Blu-ray, it's going to make its way to a meet cute box. So we look forward to that. Awesome. All right, this is what the people have been writing in. They've been waiting for this. So let's get to the Sandman with our man Zack.
Sandman.
And,
Yeah. So I consume so much media. I watch so much stuff all day, every day, and you get to the point where it's like everything's just kind of garbage, except for some things like the one that Sal brought, and obviously Prey. Until I heard that the Sandman was coming. And it's been out for, I think, maybe 2 weeks now. I've watched it fully twice. And if you don't know, for whatever reason, the Sandman is based on a comic series that came out for DC Comics back in 1989, and it ran all the way to 1996, which is the exact same amount of time I was in high school. All 6 years of my high school is how long the Sandman ran. And I consumed the crap out of this comic. I loved everything about it. Now, when this came out on Netflix, obviously it's a TV show, so they got to change up some stuff a little bit. But basically what the premise of the show is, it's when the Sandman, whose name is Dream, he's a cosmic being who controls all dreams, and he's captured and held prisoner for more than a century, and he must journey across different worlds and timelines to fix the chaos his absence has caused. So pretty much in episode 1, it just starts with this person who is trying to capture a demon because he wants his wife to come back to life. He captures the wrong person. He captures the king of dreams, which is this guy named Dream. So Dream just sits in this case for like 100 years until he finally gets out and whatever. Then you slowly understand what the story is going to be, which is all about different realms. And I think the great thing about this is that it really puts a cool contextualization on concepts like dream and despair and death. And all these people are all they have human embodiments in the show, so they're all siblings. Dream, who's played by Tom Sturridge, great cool goth character, kind of like the Crow a little bit, but his siblings are death, despair, and every D name that has just a concept. And pretty much every episode he's trying to get his stuff back. 3 things were stolen from him that are the magic capacity that makes him the king of dreams. So pretty much he's going through different worlds, finding all of his stuff to become the king of dreams again, but also starting to understand what it is to be human. Great casting in this. You have David Thewlis, phenomenal actor from like the Harry Potter series, among a lot of our things. You also have Lily Travers. You have Patton Oswalt. You even have Brienne of Tarth in this thing as Lucifer. The thing that stands out about this to me was that when I was in high school in Maryland, the very ignorant part of the world, this was the first comic that hit me that was teaching people about what it is to be non-binary, what it is to be, gay or bisexual. And that stuff didn't matter in this. It was like, hey, what is love? What is humanity? And if you watch this, I strongly suggest watching this series. But when you get to episode 5 or 6, there's one episode where it goes over death. And it was probably the most beautiful thing. And it's the first time in a long time I stopped an episode and just rewatched an episode again. Because as Dream is talking to his sister Death, they're going around and explaining what death is and how people view life as a gift, but they forgot that death is also a gift. And it's kind of like re-examining what it is like to actually die and how that is important to what your life means. And then having somebody so beautiful and caring walking you through the last most important part of your life. It was just so touching, and it gave me goosebumps, and I had to rewatch it. And the series is so beautiful, and it's not as good as the comic, obviously, but Neil Gaiman is still involved in it, and he's making sure that it is as good as it can be. 10 episodes, pretty tight, but not surprised our shows based on comic books such as Lucy. Yeah, for real. It's so beautiful, and having the idea of like, you don't need genders, you don't need any of this weird stuff. It's just it's feelings, and it's what it is to be human. One episode goes over what if no one could lie anymore, and it was just these people living their life, telling the truth to each other through relationships. The idea of like, was that me?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I just heard myself back in the headphones. That's crazy. Either way, yeah, please check out the Sandman. Absolutely beautiful show.
Well, it sounds great, man.
Yeah, really, really cool. And as far as like comic book movies or shows, it's done in the right way where it really tries to understand what the comic was trying to tell you instead of just being like, there's our capes and they're just fighting people and buildings crash. No, it's really clever and beautiful and sad.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, good review, man.
All right. Not to one up that review, but we're going to do Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Cool movie.
Who's seen this movie?
Me.
Okay. So Drop Dead Gorgeous is, to me, one of the funniest movies ever. So first of all, let me preface by saying a little background. 1999 brought this gem to us. It's an American satirical black comedy. It's a mockumentary film about a small town beauty pageant. It's directed by Michael Patrick Jan. He was a cast member of The Slate, and it stars. All right, you ready for this? This is where it gets insane. This is who starred in this movie in 1999. Denise Richards, Kirsten.
No.
Thanks, Al.
You're gonna be doing that a lot.
All right. Denise Richards, Kirsten Dunst, Ellen Barkin, Allison Janney, Kirstie Alley, Mindy Sterling, Brittany Murphy, film debut of Amy Adams. Okay.
Ooh, whistle.
All right. And then Will Sasso is in it. You'd recognize him if you saw him. He's in a lot of Farley Brothers stuff. And Sam McMurray, you'd recognize if you're a Friends fan. He was Chandler's boss. So this movie takes place in Minnesota.
So the accents are great.
Yes, Mount Rose, Minnesota. And they're doing an American teen princess pageant. Now, when I tell you the cast in this movie, I think the funniest they are. This is Allison Janney at the funniest and best of Allison Janney. She went on obviously to do The West Wing. She won I think an Academy Award for the Tanya Harding movie. I mean, Allison Janney is a force to be reckoned with. She stars in Mom now, a TV show. But I'm telling you, Drop Dead Gorgeous is her best performance. Ellen Barkin has never been funnier. She is so funny. She plays Kirsten Dunst's mom. So the whole idea is that in this high school, they have a teen princess pageant sponsored by Sarah Rose Cosmetics. And so if you win this regional event, you go on to the nationals and stuff like that. So they're all competing, but one by one, the contestants start dying. Oh, now Denise Richards plays Kirstie Alley's daughter. Kirstie Alley, Gladys Lehman, was crowned Miss Teen Princess way back when. So this is very important for her daughter to be also crowned. And so anyway, they keep dying one by one by one. And let me also say, for those of you who are rushed out right now to already start watching it, this is the most un-PC film by today's standards. This movie would never be made because it would never allow this to be captured on film. But it's hilarious. If you're allowed to have hilarity and non-PC-ness, this is like the perfect movie for that. If you understand, they are aware of it. It's satirizing exactly what is un-PC. I mean, everything about it is just brilliant. Now, just to be fair, on Rotten Tomatoes, this has a 47 critic rating. This has been panned over and over again. It never got its due in terms of reviews. It was just horribly destroyed. Nothing of that would ever say to you, Jeff, why are you calling this the funniest movie you've ever seen? But I'm telling you, it is the funny. It's like when I first watched Napoleon Dynamite, I said, I don't get it. And they're like, no, that's it. And I rewatched it and I'm like, this is the most brilliant movie ever. If you watch Drop Dead Gorgeous, knowing the lack of PC, the horrible things that they're saying, and like everything that would just piss you off if you. It's just it's a mockumentary. Okay, they're making fun of all this. There's nothing politically correct about this movie, and that's the brilliance of this movie. Okay, so each one of them. This is Kirstie Alley. Forget whatever you think about her politicalness. Kirstie Alley, when she's a funny comedic actress, there's nobody better than Kirstie Alley. Okay, she's top dog there. Okay, and she's full Kirstie Alley here, and this is great. So I won't kind of give it away. Mindy Sterling is great in it. She's in this movie, hot off of Austin Powers, and so they all, I think, do these awesome little accents. So anyway, it follows Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten Dunst is sort of the main character, and she's she wants to follow in the footsteps of Diane Sawyer, and so small girl, trailer park dreams, and so follows her. So at the end of, I won't say who wins the American Teen Princess, but I will say that that's sort of like part one of the movie. Then there's like it becomes almost like a whole different movie as they move to the semifinals, and then the finals, and there's just, I can't even describe the scene because I don't want to give it away because it's so amazing.
Shenanigans, a lot of shenanigans.
What happens, but I'm telling you. So now here's the thing: this used to be on Hulu, and I don't think it is. So I don't think it's streaming anywhere. But I'm telling you, with that $2.99 or whatever it costs to watch it on Amazon, is 100% worth it. And I know that's not usually what we do here. And then, this is only a 98-minute movie, so it's a perfect like comedy length, I think. It was 10 to 15 million budget. When you think like with that cast and for that budget, Amy Adams, by the way, is unrecognizable. Like that's how young she is in this movie. Wow. If you watch this movie, you're like, that's it. I think that might be Amy Adams. And you're like, because she's obviously now still looks amazing, but just anyway. So it's only made $10 million in the box office. It was pretty much a flop. It pretty much was a flop. But I'm telling you, you will love this movie. It is hilarious. And it was never, I think only up until like a few years ago, it wasn't available anywhere. And it was on Hulu. And when I looked the other day, because I actually own a copy of this and I rewatched it recently, couldn't find it on Hulu. So I don't know if it's still there or not. I'm sure people wrote letters. But anyway, Zach, you've seen this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 99, which is obviously the best year for movies. That was my prime time for like just absorbing everything. I mean, you have things like, American Pie, like everything else that came out the same year. So it's not like surprised that it didn't do too well in the box office, because there were some bangers that came out in 99. Especially over the summer. But yeah, Drop Dead Gorgeous, very, very cool, kitschy movie. I was working on Blockbuster Video in 99, so that was part of my employee pick wall occasionally, my top 5. So yeah, very clever movie. It's like if Christopher Guest did Miss Congeniality.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Tony, you've seen this?
Oh yeah, no, it's a great movie. Yeah, it's again, it's one of those things where you looking back on it now, you appreciate how funny it was. I think it was funny at the time, but now you look back and like that's a really funny movie. Like it's better than good. It definitely makes fun of that whole industry, but it doesn't in a way. And if it wasn't in Minnesota, I don't know if it would be as funny, because that really does take the movie, the fact that they're in Minnesota and the accents and just the cast that's there. It's just great. Which, by the way, hold on, let's talk about Howard's comment. Second best role. No. What about Wild Things? Denise Richards crushed it.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be one of her best roles. Come on.
I bet you couldn't tell me what that movie's about. You just know that she was in a pool and she's got boobs. What is Wild Things about?
Yes. Well, and again, the whole Matt Dillon and the scene in the hotel. I mean, I could run lines that entire movie. It's a spinning image. It was part of my spank bank for quite some time when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that was a solid movie.
Yeah. All right. So okay. All right. So let's all right. So go see Drop Dead Gorgeous. Pay for it if you have to. Buy it at a used something store. Rent it from your library. But definitely worth a million laughs. and it's so many stars in this movie. So check that out.
Jeff, did you see this in the theater? Do you remember?
I don't know if I did or not. I just remember at some point maybe seeing it on cable or something. My wife and I just couldn't stop watching this movie. It was
Because
just,
you remember back then you would just go to the theater and be like, I don't know what I'm going to see. And you just kind of look at all of them. Like, but do you remember that? Like, that doesn't happen anywhere near anymore. But like, I remember just going to like the theater and be like, what's out? I have no idea. But if you were to go out to see Drop Dead Gorgeous when it came out, here's the other movies you had to choose between. You have American Pie, Big Daddy, Lake Placid, Wild Wild West, Star Wars Phantom Menace, The General's Daughter, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and Muppets in Space, as long with the Blair Witch Project. So this is like crunch time for just cool movies. But I saw this in a theater, and I had a good time.
there was a time where if a movie came out on Friday, I've seen it twice by Sunday. There was that time. But now I gotta say, like, when I gotta really want it, I really gotta want to see a movie because I tell you,
if anyone's trying to go to the theater, please see Bullet Train. That is the most fun I've had in a movie in such a long time. It's like if Guy Ritchie did like Smoking Aces. Like it is such a cool combination of storylines that lead onto one fast train with like 10 assassins that just want to kill each other. Great cast, such a fun movie. Like I cannot wait to see it again. I'm probably going to see it again tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
sick.
All right, I'm gonna check. What's the name of the guy, Evan, from The Flash, the movie?
Ezra Miller.
Flash? Oh,
Ezra Miller. So
he's finally getting help.
He's the real Predator.
He got caught.
They're finally getting him help. But this is Warner Brothers. To me, this is Warner Brother legal. They must have been like, look, we will destroy you for the rest of your life. You're going to get help. We're going to put out these press releases because we're putting out this movie.
Do you know how much money they've spent on this movie so far? This movie has to come out because they've spent like $500 million on this thing already. Like they've had to sign contracts and then pay out. I think it's 5 contracts already they've had to fully pay out because Ezra Miller keeps messing up and people keep dropping out. And then other movies had to get canceled because of how much money they're putting into this thing. So, I mean, he's a cult leader and a kidnapper. Like, ugh.
And they've already said he will not be Flash again.
Yeah.
And apparently he's going to go on this big apology tour beforehand.
Ridiculous.
That's part of his contract. Yeah.
Just recast him. Put Grant Gustin's in there. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't need to see Ezra Miller. Like I don't need.
He was good, but you're right. I don't need.
Sure, he's fine. There's a lot of fun.
Him.
There's a lot of good people out there. If you're gonna kidnap people and start a cult and do some weird shit, I don't need to see you. I don't need to see you.
Yeah, I'm interested in how this movie is gonna do based on that anyway.
Because Michael Keaton had a multi-movie deal to become Batman again, but because of this, they had to buy out that contract and then sign on Ben Affleck to do Batman multiple times to cover Michael Keaton's because no one wants to deal with Ezra Miller's crap anymore. So I mean, there's some serious stuff going down, and we also lost Brendan Fraser as Firefly in probably the coolest movie that will never see the light of day, that Batgirl movie. So I'm super excited about.
That's fucking upsetting. And that's just going to sit in a vault somewhere. Like, at least release it on HBO Max, even like unfinished. But
it was supposed to be only on HBO Max pretty much. It was like, but they still canceled it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then Tony and I were talking about this. And then Keaton was supposed to be in Aquaman 2 as Batman. But then the test screenings were like, why the hell is Michael Keaton in this movie? Because The Flash was supposed to have already come out.
That's right.
And so now that's how whatchamacallit, Affleck ends up back in Aquaman 2 as Batman because they needed to make sense. And then he was supposed to be in him coming back was the coolest part.
The fact that we can't see Michael Keaton back as Batman when the footage is already there is so fucking annoying to me.
So crazy.
It's insane, especially
give it to me.
The internet was going nuts, and not for nothing. Ezra Miller, he's a piece of shit. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna go see the movie. And I bet millions of people are gonna go see it. You don't have to like the guy or follow him on Facebook, but the movie's made. It's already done. It's like you ever see House of Cards? I'm not gonna not watch it. Yeah, Kevin Spacey's a dirtbag, but it's a great show. Like, who cares?
Well,
you know?
it doesn't
Make-
hurt that he's a dirtbag in the show.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Spacey's a real bad guy, though. I'm not gonna watch.
Well, yeah, but it's not like
I'm not gonna get over
I mean,
child
it's
rape
not-
because the writing's really good in a show.
Yeah, I mean, like Mel Gibson could come out with the best movie right now.
Yeah,
but,
like,
you know what?
yeah,
Hard
yeah.
pass. I
Yeah,
mean,
sorry, I don't care. But that's the thing, like, you know, but you're right though. Like, you know, what the first trailer we saw of this thing, which was like 2 years ago, it was on the Michael Keaton's Wayne Manor, and you're like, oh my god, dude, just give me this, give me this. But yeah.
I don't know. Jerry.
I don't know.
If-
All right. Well, hey guys, this was a ton of fun, but we got to say good night. Zach, remind everyone where they can find you.
Literally anywhere you want to. Just open up your thing and type in Jeff Dwoskin. Know that he's got a podcast and you should listen to it.
Tony, say good night. Remind people about Mute Cute.
Yeah, go to EzraMiller.com for all the latest. No, go to Berardo.com to find all my podcasts and meet Cute Box. If you got a spouse out there, meetcutebox.com, date night box. You're going to be like a stud with your spouse with this thing. So you're welcome.
It is very cool. It is very cool. And then Sal, say good night.
Good night, everybody. Good to be with you guys, Tony and Zach, and SalDeMiller.com. Good night.
All right. And Jeff Dwoskin, check out Classic Conversations. And we'll see you next week and every week. Bye. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm like off my game right now. All right.
And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts,
Classic Conversations and the Sal and Bob Show.
check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.